Today I will be talking to Paul Mynard about the importance of brand growth and the role that brand experience plays in this. Paul has over 30 years of experience working for the top agencies in the world and leading global clients, including Coca-Cola, Nike, Mercedes, and Sundan. His agency, Brand Design Lab, is a design consultancy that creates brand experiences that form strong emotional connections between brands and consumers using graphics, 3D, and digital design. He has a close working relationship with Elephants Can't Jump and has recently channeled his passion for delivering excellent solutions that drive measurable results into a unique brand growth process. Today, we will learn more about this process and his extensive expertise within brand experience. I guess to kick off, why, in your opinion, should businesses prioritize the growth of their brand now even more than ever?
I guess the world's in a pretty significant state of change at the moment, right? Due to many things. Obviously, there's the COVID-19 pandemic, which has had a huge impact, but there are other things. There's Brexit, there's the US-China trade war, there's the upcoming US election, and probably quite a lot of other things around the world that are making consumers quite uncertain, and they are changing consumer attitudes, consumer behavior, in response. So I think it's crucial, therefore, that businesses understand these changes and trends and respond to them quickly in order to grow their brands, and in some cases, in order to survive.
So what you really bring to the brand growth process is your 30 years worth of expertise within brand experience. Now, for anyone listening who doesn't fully understand what brand experience is, how would you define it, and why is it so important to brand growth?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, good question. So I guess just in very simple terms, we try to find the best ways for brands to connect with their target customers. And they do that effectively through different experiences. It could be in-store experiences, online experiences, through websites, social media, through events, the experience of using the product itself. All of these things need carefully defining and designing. And I guess we talk about experience journeys, and they typically begin with awareness building. Then there's a journey to purchase, and all of those steps, and that can be online, that could be in a physical store, it could be a mixture of both. And then it moves on to, the customers purchase something, and there might be an unboxing experience, and then the actual experience of using the product itself. All of that needs to be carefully managed, and if that whole experience is optimized, and each and every step is as good as it possibly can be, and it's also responding to these new consumer trends and changes in attitudes and behavior, then that's when you kind of got the optimum scenario, and that's when you can grow your brand and increase sales.
So it's really very dependent on the business itself, in terms of how you would define brand experience. Like you say, there's all these different expressions of it, and in order to sort of the optimization is sort of bringing them all together with this very sort of this thread that brings them all into one, and that's how you really push and achieve that brand growth when they're all working seamlessly together.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, I guess every client situation is unique. There are different forces at play. They have different target consumers. They're in different sectors, different products and services. So there's lots of variables. It's about understanding all of those and then optimizing that experience. So it's a little bit like a graphic equalizer as well. You play with things and tweak things, and create that optimum experience that is really compelling for consumers, and that makes them want to buy into the products and services as often as possible, and increase sales and growth.
Yeah. And how does your process help identify that optimized route?
Sure. Okay. So that's first of all about getting a very deep understanding of your brand, your consumers, the trends that are at play with consumers and the market. It's about understanding competitor activity.
So a very immersive stage.
Absolutely. You've got to really fully understand every aspect of, the client's kind of business and market and their consumers. Then we move into what we call an ideation phase. So, we use collaborative creative workshops. We then sort of move into a strategy definition phase, idea development. We then visualize those ideas in various ways, and we'll do planning. So we'll plan out maybe a pipeline with the client to, define, in a prioritized order, what should be done and when it should be done.
Yeah.
It might be in some
launch
cases.
Activation.
Absolutely, yeah. And it might be in some cases that we agree with a client to do a bit of testing of some of the new ideas, prior to them being implemented. That's not always necessary. But what is important is, I think at the moment, the speed to market. So, our process is designed to be, very fast and agile, to help clients get to some solutions that help them grow their brand very quickly.
Obviously, with the ongoing COVID-19 situation, this has put a lot of new, quite unfounded pressures on the retail sector that we've never had to deal with before. As we've said, brand experience is very evolving and adaptable. How has this impacted the way we approach brand experience, in your opinion?
Sure. Well, clearly, it's obviously driven more people online. We all know that. There's quite a few interesting statistics about now. I believe 1 in 4 people are now addicted to online shopping and home delivery.
I think my flatmates amongst them.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of my household are. And then, so that's obviously just, that people are doing more online purchase. You've got a lot of new people that are going online that haven't shopped online before. So that's a huge deal. But many people, I think, still want to go to physical stores. And there's been the obvious measures that have been introduced about social distancing and, limiting the number of people in stores. And like I touched on earlier, things like interaction and play have been important in the past in physical retail, but now stores clearly need to be non-touch to be, safe during the pandemic. So I think that will change the way store design will be, probably certainly in the short term. I guess we could see the acceleration of the use of mobile in store. People could interact with the store through their mobile, with technology such as augmented reality, which could enhance their experience with the store. Also, I think if the store knows who you are, it could offer a hyper-personalized experience. So, the store could deliver personalized content, messaging, and personalized experiences to you. So I think those are the kind of technologies and experiences that could accelerate due to the impact of COVID.
And would you say those are more short-term or long-term changes in how we approach brand experience? I know it's quite hard to say for some of them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess those obvious things like, the social distancing measures and, limiting the number of people in stores and, all the floor stickers and stuff, I'm sure they're just going to be temporary. Once we're through the pandemic and, hopefully we get a vaccine and, all of the infection rates drop, then I think those will slowly kind of move away. I think it could be things like, interacting with the store, through mobile and various kind of interesting technologies there, hyper-personalized experiences as well. Those could be the kind of changes that are longer term, which I think are quite interesting, very exciting for us as experience designers.
Definitely. So it's, that bringing, we always knew this shift to the digital was coming. especially with, online shopping. And COVID has just massively accelerated. It's maybe brought it 10 years earlier, 5 years earlier than it would have been. But it's also encouraged a really interesting sort of array of innovations, like you've expressed then, about how you can actually bring that digital experience into the stores, and is maybe forcing some retailers to really pull their socks up and, just have a go at cracking into that world.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think, well, for many retailers, like I sort of touched on earlier, there's no choice. If you don't, stay ahead and, really understand what the kind of consumer trends are, and how consumers are changing their attitudes and their behaviors, particularly for the kind of sectors and the products and services that you sell as a brand, then you're really going to struggle and maybe not even survive. It's the brands that are really on top of that, and then they understand that and are absolutely in touch with those trends, that are coming up with new, innovative experiences, and they're improving their customer journey, that are doing well and that are succeeding. I mean, obviously that there's some general exceptions to that, because clearly, there are some sectors that, because of the circumstances of the pandemic, have done well. And some clearly that haven't, and there are clearly sectors that are, through no fault of their own, they're hit really hard. So, obvious examples include, travel and airlines and airports, no fault of their own, they've been hit really hard. But for many other sectors, it's really about, trying to understand the trends and the changes in consumer behavior, and just reacting as quickly as possible to those.
Yeah, making sense of the madness and pulling it all together in an effective strategy. Have you, through your work, come across any brands, especially over the past few months, and businesses that you think they have done a really fantastic job of doing exactly that?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, we're actually we're working with a client in China, and we're helping them to respond to, the recent trends, and we're creating marketing stories that they can use in ads and online and in social media and in store around, the trends that have become really popular. So health and fitness is very important, and people are obviously, because of the pandemic, very concerned about their health and, what they eat and exercise and monitoring their health, and, using wearable tech and things like that, doing, these online fitness courses that they can do at home.
And different health concerns to what they had maybe 6-7 months ago. Suddenly you see an interest in people searching out foods and products to boost immunology, whereas that wasn't so much of a part of health that people discussed pre-COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, well, food and drink is obviously a kind of sector that there's been huge changes in that. That's been really interesting. I think, when COVID initially kicked in, people, were kind of a little bit worried, and they indulged in treats, and they overate for quite a while.
Who would have done that?
Now I think a lot of us are eating a lot more healthily. There's a lot of home cooking and baking. We've all heard about that. The sales of flour and, yeast and all that kind of stuff went crazy.
Going through the roof.
Yeah, absolutely. People are buying more local. Because I think people are spending more time at home. Things like home decor, DIY, they've been very popular. Outdoor living, particularly through the summer, has been extremely popular. So, gardening, outdoor furniture, barbecues, pizza ovens, all of those kind of things have done really well. So, we're helping clients, and you can see brands that have kind of packaged, they recognize these trends, they've packaged up stories almost, because, that's what very often branding is about. It's about storytelling, so packaging up a story that's all about enjoying the great outdoors, and outdoor living, and then they bundle all these products together. That's very interesting. So tailoring your product mix, creating marketing stories, then you can use it online, you can use it in store, you can use it on social media, you can use it in advertising. helps to maximize sales in line with these consumer trends.
Yeah, I think we were discussing the other day, Argos had done that very well through their latest TV advertisements, especially, and creating these very realistic but also aspirational worlds, out of this new normal that we all keep on discussing, and really celebrating the ingenuity of their own consumers in a really wonderful way that allowed them to showcase these new products that tapped into these trends, like you said.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I think you're talking about the TV commercial where there's a family kind of sitting in a back garden, right? But it's a completely pimped back garden with, all of the lights, and I think they've got like a projection screen, so they're watching a movie or something, and they've got all the camping gear and the pizza oven or whatever it is.
Yeah,
it's a
ticking all those boxes.
Yeah, but it's great. It's an aspirational story, and it's completely tapped in to this trend. Or it's not. It is a trend that we've kind of been forced into because of COVID. But it's a very smart, swift response to the situation and the change in consumer behaviour, and they're doing well. And many other kind of brands and retailers like that have responded quickly in the same kind of way, and they're succeeding and they're growing their brand.
Yeah, and I guess it links back to that point we were discussing at the beginning, that actually now more than ever, it is so important to look at brand growth. And I think it's so instinctive for some businesses to curl up and panic in these in these sorts of circumstances. And obviously some businesses, it's just unfortunate that, like you mentioned, the travel industry, there's not a lot they can actually do. But it really is a sort of sink and swim situation. And those businesses that really prioritize this brand growth and looking at how they can adapt their brand experience are the ones who are really going to come out of this so much stronger. It doesn't matter if you're the strongest brand in your sector going in. If you panic and curl up in a ball, then you're not going to hopefully post the situation that we're all currently in. You won't be at that front of mind for the consumer anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so obviously COVID, like you say, has had just a huge impact, and it's very tough on certain industries. And I think I think also some of the other big changes that we're seeing around the world at the moment are also having a big impact on business and consumer trends.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, yeah. Black Lives Matter, the presidential election, and also just some of these long-standing trends, or not trends, but shifts in public opinion that have been ongoing for the past few years. So a focus on sustainability. There's lots of moving parts for brands to juggle with at the moment. And that's why I guess a process that brings clarity to what they need to do in order to achieve that brand growth is so important right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it. And that's essentially what we're trying to help our clients with at the moment. Like I say, a fast, very targeted, carefully designed process that helps the clients respond as quickly as possible, and implement these ideas, get them out in the market as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and quickly as possible really is the key thing there, isn't it? That agility is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And it will continue to be, like you say, we're going to see some quite interesting changes over the next few coming months, with the upcoming US election, when eventually the detailed kind of fallout from Brexit is known as well.
I always forget about that one. What's Brexit again?
Absolutely. But it's interesting now. We've spoken with businesses that they're thinking about how they can trade and how they can sell products to Europe, because there's going to be a border now. That's not quite so necessarily determined by consumer trends, but it's still a very significant change that impacts certain sectors and certain clients, and we're helping with things like that. Similarly, because of the US China trade war that's happening, we've got clients in China that can no longer kind of manufacture there if they want to sell products to the rest of the world. So they've moved manufacturing out of China to places like Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, to deal with that. So it just demonstrates how many very significant challenges there are for clients and manufacturers and brands to grow their business and sell products to consumers. It's a tough time. It's very tough.
It is, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today and explaining brand experience and also the importance of brand growth right now. Just one more final question for you before we sign off. But if you had to give one key piece of advice, so if you're only allowed to give one bit of advice for a business trying to achieve brand growth right now, what would it be?
Talk to Brand Design Lab or Elephants Can't Jump Now. No.
I like that one.
I'm not recommending that. No. I would say understand how your consumer attitudes and behaviors have changed and change your brand to respond to them quickly.
Excellent. Perfect.
That's the nub of it.
Perfect. Well,
and talk to us.
and talk to us. Yeah. Please see the link below. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Paul. And catch up with you soon.
Likewise.